Hello and welcome to this exciting journey into the world of elements. Today, we are diving into the genesis of periodic classification, understanding how scientists first tried to bring order to the ever-growing list of chemical elements. From simple groupings to more complex patterns, we'll explore the early attempts that laid the groundwork for the modern periodic table. Get ready to uncover the story behind one of chemistry's most fundamental tools as we navigate through easy, medium, hard, and hardest levels of understanding. Let's begin. Ready to start simple? In our easy section, we'll discover why classifying elements became so important and learn about the very first attempts to sort them out. Imagine a time when new elements were being discovered constantly. It was like collecting an ever-increasing number of unique toys without any shelf to organize them. Scientists faced the same challenge. How could they study and remember the properties of dozens, then hundreds, of elements individually? They needed a system. This led to the idea of classification, grouping elements with similar characteristics to simplify their study. One of the earliest attempts came from Johann Wolfgang Dobereiner in 1829. He noticed that certain groups of three elements, which he called triads, had similar chemical properties. What's more, the atomic mass of the middle element in these triads was roughly the average of the other two. For example, take lithium, sodium, and potassium. Their properties are similar, and sodium's atomic mass is the average of lithium and potassium. A clever start, but Dobereiner could only find a few such triads. Building on this idea of patterns, an English chemist named John Newlands came up with the law of octaves in 1865. He arranged all the known elements in increasing order of their atomic masses. What he observed was fascinating. Every eighth element had properties similar to the first one, just like the notes in a musical octave sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa. For instance, if you start with lithium, the eighth element, sodium, has similar properties. This was a significant step, suggesting a periodic repetition of properties. However, Newlands' law had its limitations. It worked well only for lighter elements, up to calcium. Beyond that, the pattern broke down. Also, he sometimes had to force two elements into one slot, and the later discovery of noble gases completely messed up his octave pattern. Despite these flaws, Newlands showed that there was indeed a repeating pattern in the elements. Time to check your understanding. Here are 3 quick questions for you. First, who proposed the law of octaves? Second, what was the primary basis of Dobereiner's triads? And third, can you name one significant limitation of Newlands' law of octaves? Pause, think, and test your knowledge. Now, let's deepen our understanding. In the medium section, we'll explore these early attempts in more detail, appreciating their achievements and understanding their critical shortcomings. The mid-19th century was a dynamic period for chemistry. The sheer number of known elements had exploded, creating a complex puzzle for scientists. Imagine trying to sort a library with thousands of books, all different sizes and subjects, without any cataloging system. Chemists faced a similar challenge with elements, making systematic classification not just helpful but absolutely essential. Dobereiner's triads, though limited, were a groundbreaking initial step. They demonstrated that there wasn't just a qualitative similarity in properties, but also a quantifiable, mathematical relationship in their atomic masses. This hinted at a deeper, underlying order. For example, in the triad of chlorine, bromine, and iodine, bromine's atomic mass is almost the average of chlorine and iodine. This was a significant achievement, but its biggest limitation was its narrow applicability. Only a few such triads could be identified among all known elements. Newlands' law of octaves took the concept of order a step further. By arranging elements strictly by increasing atomic mass, he observed a clear, repeating pattern in their chemical properties. The analogy to musical octaves was catchy and helped visualize this periodicity. This was a monumental achievement. Newlands was the first to explicitly propose a periodic relationship. However, the harmony quickly turned discordant. The law failed for heavier elements beyond calcium, where the every eighth element rule no longer held true. Moreover, he sometimes had to place dissimilar elements together or squeeze two elements into one slot to maintain the pattern, which wasn't chemically justifiable. The ultimate blow came with the discovery of noble gases, which introduced an entirely new group of elements, completely disrupting his established octave sequence. Despite these flaws, Newlands' work undeniably highlighted the periodic nature of elemental properties. So, what's the takeaway from Dobryna and Newlands? Despite their individual limitations, their contributions were absolutely pivotal. They firmly established two critical ideas. First, that element properties are not random but exhibit periodicity, a tendency to repeat at regular intervals. Second, they showed that atomic mass was a crucial parameter in revealing these patterns. These early attempts, while imperfect, laid the essential conceptual groundwork. They demonstrated the value of systematic organization and, importantly, highlighted the need for a more comprehensive and robust classification system that could accommodate all elements and predict the properties of undiscovered ones. Their work was a testament to the scientific method in action, where initial observations lead to hypotheses, which are then tested, refined, and eventually superseded by more accurate models. This iterative process is how science progresses. Time to assess your grasp of the medium-level concepts. Here are 5 questions. First, explain Dobryna's triads with an example. Second, what were the main achievements of Newlands' law of octaves? Third, list 2 limitations of Newlands' law. Fourth, how did the discovery of noble gases affect Newlands' classification? And finally, why was the classification of elements necessary in the 19th century? Take your time to formulate comprehensive answers. Let's elevate our understanding. In the hard section, we'll engage in a deeper comparative analysis, connect these early ideas to broader theories, and explore the inherent challenges faced by scientists. The journey to the modern periodic table was less a sudden revelation and more a progressive evolution, with each attempt building upon the insights and, crucially, the failures of its predecessors. Dobryna and Newlands' efforts, though incomplete, were foundational. They initiated the scientific quest to demonstrate an inherent order among elements, setting the stage for more comprehensive systems. When we compare them, both used increasing atomic mass as their primary basis. Dobryna focused on specific triads with similar chemical properties and an arithmetic mean relationship for atomic masses. Newlands, more broadly, observed a periodicity of properties every 8th element, drawing an analogy to musical octaves. While Dobryna's scope was limited to a few triads, Newlands' law was more ambitious, attempting to classify all known elements, but it famously broke down beyond calcium. Neither system possessed strong predictive power for undiscovered elements, which would become a hallmark of later classifications. The limitations of these early models weren't simply failures, rather, they served as critical signposts guiding future research. They firmly established the concepts of periodicity, the idea that properties repeat after certain intervals, and atomic mass as a crucial parameter in understanding element behavior. These insights were invaluable. However, the shortcomings also highlighted the urgent need for a more robust organizing principle that could accommodate a larger number of elements, predict properties of undiscovered ones, and account for exceptions. This iterative process of observation, hypothesis, testing, and refinement is the very essence of scientific progress, ultimately paving the way for Mendeleev's groundbreaking work. Chemists in the 19th century faced formidable challenges that complicated their classification efforts. Firstly, the experimental determination of atomic masses was still evolving, leading to inaccuracies that could disrupt perceived patterns. Secondly, many elements were yet to be discovered, creating frustrating gaps and forcing scientists to make assumptions or leave blanks. Imagine trying to complete a jigsaw puzzle when half the pieces are missing. Most fundamentally, the internal structure of atoms, the existence of protons, neutrons, and electrons was completely unknown. This meant that while they could observe empirical patterns and properties, the underlying fundamental reason for this periodicity remained a profound mystery. They were essentially trying to organize a complex system without understanding its basic components. These challenges underscore the ingenuity required to make any progress in classification during that era. Now, let's tackle some hard-level questions. First, compare and contrast Dobrynin's triads and Newland's law of octaves. Second, discuss how their limitations actually drove scientific progress. Third, why was the concept of periodicity so significant? Fourth, explain the major challenges faced by 19th-century chemists. Fifth, if a new element fit a Dobrynin triad, what properties would you expect it to have? Sixth, critically evaluate Newland's musical analogy. And seventh, how did the absence of noble gases impact early classifications? Reflect deeply on these. Welcome to the hardest level. Here, we'll delve into the deep scientific and philosophical underpinnings of early element classification, exploring competitive insights and the profound impact these initial steps had on chemistry. The early attempts at element classification were deeply rooted in the scientific landscape of the 19th century. This was an era of intense empirical data collection, with a surge in the discovery of new elements. Scientists were driven by a desire to bring order to this increasing complexity. Dobrynin and Newlands, in their own ways, exemplify a crucial phase of inductive reasoning, observing specific patterns in elements and then attempting to generalize these observations into universal laws. This scientific method, though still evolving, guided their efforts to synthesize individual facts into overarching principles, laying a vital foundation for how we approach chemical understanding today, long before the advent of atomic structure theory. It's fascinating how the failures of Dobrynin's and Newland's models were not simply dead ends, but rather powerful drivers of scientific progress. Dobrynin's quantitative insight into atomic mass averages, combined with Newland's broader conceptual leap towards periodicity, highlighted critical truths. But their limitations, the inability to classify all elements, the breakdown for heavier ones, or the disruption by new discoveries precisely underscored the inadequacy of existing frameworks. These shortcomings compelled later scientists, most notably Mendeleev, to seek more fundamental and comprehensive organizing principles. It became clear that atomic mass alone, while a strong indicator, was not the perfect or sole basis for a universally applicable periodic law. This iterative process of identifying flaws and seeking better explanations is a hallmark of robust scientific inquiry. Even without any knowledge of atomic number or electron configurations, the observations made by Dobrynin and Newlands implicitly hinted at an underlying atomic structure that governed chemical behavior. The recurring patterns and properties suggested that elements weren't just random, isolated entities, but shared fundamental structural commonalities that manifested periodically. The very existence of such patterns, even imperfect ones, laid the crucial groundwork for future theories that would eventually explain why periodicity occurs. Their work effectively transformed chemistry from a purely descriptive science, focused on cataloging individual substances, into a field actively seeking overarching, predictive principles for elemental behavior. This intellectual shift was profound, moving beyond mere observation to a deeper quest for the atom's internal secrets. The legacy of these early classification attempts extends far beyond their immediate findings. By bringing a semblance of order, they profoundly influenced chemical nomenclature and the direction of research. Grouping elements by similar properties encouraged systematic study within those groups. Moreover, the gaps and inconsistencies in these early tables stimulated intense research into discovering new elements that would fill the patterns or refining existing atomic mass measurements. Think of it like an engineering analogy. Initially, you might organize components by simple visual traits. But as the system grows, you need to understand the asterisk function asterisk and asterisk internal structure asterisk of each component to build a truly robust and predictive organization. These early classifications were essential steps in this design process. On a philosophical level, the search for periodicity was driven by the belief that nature operates under discoverable laws, elevating chemistry to a more predictive and theoretical science. Here are the first 5 challenging questions for you. 1. Analyze the epistemological context of 19th century chemistry. 2. Discuss how the failures of early classifications served as catalysts for progress. 3. How did these attempts implicitly hint at atomic structure? 4. Elaborate on the engineering analogy for element classification. And 5. How did early classifications influence research direction and nomenclature? Take your time, these require deep thought. And here are the remaining 5 hardest questions. 6. Critically evaluate the role of inductive reasoning in Dobrynin's and Newland's methodologies. 7. How might early classifications have differed if noble gases were known from the outset? 8. Discuss the shift in chemical thought initiated by these classifications. 9. As a chemist in 1870, what avenues would you pursue for a better system? And 10. What philosophical implications did the discovery of periodicity have in the 19th century? Good luck with these advanced problems. And that brings us to the end of our exploration into the genesis of periodic classification. I hope you've gained a deeper appreciation for the historical journey and the scientific ingenuity involved in organizing the elements. Remember, every great discovery builds on the efforts of those who came before. For more such engaging and comprehensive educational content, make sure to visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates and to continue your learning journey with us. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. See you in the next session.